Hey folks, I have read your discussion boards and your nurse sensitive indicator papers that were due this week. I have provided feedback in the rubric associated with those assignments, as well as some comments on your papers for your reflective exercise. Be sure that you take the time to read that feedback and plan to apply that feedback to your final paper. The other thing I'll encourage you to do is go in to your discussion boards to where your post is and read your peer replies. Especially this week, I have the opportunity to read all of your primary posts as well as your peer replies, so I get to see the whole depth and breadth of your personal insights that you're sharing with your peers. Sometimes in our hurry in the academic world, we get our part of the assignment done, we post our primary thread, and we hit our replies, and then we peace out on the assignment, and we don't go back in and read what other people say to us. And so many of you had such very thoughtful, kind insights that you shared with your peers. So I'm going to encourage you to go back in and make sure you've read what your peers have written. Interestingly, I'm always interested to see kind of whose primary post has the most replies or tags in it. And Justin, your classmate, had the most peer replies, which I fully understand after reading his post. I really like something that Justin wrote in his discussion board posts because I think it aligns really well with our reflective exercise that dealt with nurse sensitive indicators. Justin is a leader in the emergency room, and he wrote that knowing the condition that many of the patients who frequent the ED on a daily basis come from, based on my background in the pre-hospital world, has given me a greater appreciation for the difference nurses can make with only kind words and clean linens. Many of the people we encounter experience profound self-care deficits, and the best opportunity they have to learn otherwise comes from the basic health teaching nurses provide. In spite of the vast amount of resources at their disposal to live well and healthy lives, many people we encounter remain in ignorance of how to do so. In this way, these people live like sheep without a shepherd. And he referenced Mark chapter 9, verse 36. Nurses have the opportunity to shepherd people in ignorance and guide them into knowledge. Shepherds lead and protect their flock, often having to rebuke bad behavior and guide the straying animal in the path of safety. In much the same way, every time a nurse provides education on smoking cessation to the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease patient, he or she is engaging in shepherding. I love the idea that Justin uses in this concept of being a shepherd. And when we look at nurse sensitive indicators, when we look at the things that we really are accountable to doing, how often we really are being the shepherd. We're shepherding safety, knowledge, information, supervision, oversight, administration or assessment or intervention. So many things that we do, we really are in that shepherd role. So I really appreciated the concepts that Justin shared with us. Your nurse sensitive indicators were a broad cross section. So many of you covered so many really cool ideas. The important idea with that assignment was to be sure that you were addressing things that were specific to nurses, in that we can directly impact that. Now, you could argue that communication is a nurse-sensitive indicator. That's great, but you need to tell me how it is specifically nurse sensitive. And I'm aware that everyone across an interprofessional team is going to communicate. It's okay if you wanted to use a broader concept and say that it was nurse sensitive. Just need to make sure that you are explaining those concepts in detail. One of the things I'm going to encourage you to continue to be aware of as you polish and improve your scholarly writing is that even in reflective exercises, it's important that you support your ideas. That when you're asked to cover major themes in a paper, that you have adequate support that bolsters what you are saying as far as your opinion goes. Even in reflective exercises, you're going to need to support your ideas. So make sure that as you move forward in the program, you continue to do that. From an APA standpoint, you guys are doing a really good job. I can't think of anything major from an APA standpoint that we need to touch on. You guys are just doing a fantastic job. Let's talk about next week. Your final paper is due for your Christian nurse leadership paper. Can be a pretty lengthy paper. I'm going to encourage you to use level 1, 2, and 3 headings to organize your paper. You're going to want to be very organized in this paper. Avoid the temptation to copy and paste the questions that are used in this assignment and use those as your level headings. It's okay to use thematically those as level headings, but you never want to use an assignment prompt as your level heading. Find a way to concisely reword those and use those to guide your level 1 and 2 headings, and then break it down further by using level 3 headings. This is a complex paper, so you should approach it using the understanding that the level headings are going to help support it. Remember that you used your annotated bibliography to begin to think about these concepts. Understand that that it is likely that there are going to be resources that were on your bibliography that you're not going to use in your paper because maybe you found something that's better, or maybe as you've written you found that that resource may not have been the most appropriate. Know that what's important is that the resources that you do use in your final paper are scholarly quality peer-reviewed resources. There should be don't toss out your original annotated bibliography and start over. Use that as your starting point. Just know that there may be some minor variations. One area that folks tend to struggle with in this paper, it is not concepts. Normally this is a pretty straightforward paper. The thing that people always seem to struggle with is one of the prompts. It's prompt number 2, and it has you discussing legal and ethical issues. I want to remind you that legal and ethical are two different things. Something can be ethical and not legal, and there can be things that are not ethical but are legal. So be clear as you approach number 2 that you are understanding that legal and ethical issues are two different topics, and you want to briefly touch on both of those and be clear that you are touching on both of those. Normally in this assignment people do well. The biggest issue is that one little area that they get tangled up in and not organizing their paper and writing concisely. You want to try to hit the mark on the page limit. And if you are writing concisely and you've organized your paper well, you'll be pretty successful in doing that. Know that I'm here. If you have any questions or concerns as you wrap up the course, I do want you I'd like you to do your course evaluation. I value your feedback. One of the things that we do as nurse leaders is we encourage our teams to seek 360-degree feedback. I can't get feedback from you without you providing it. So I know that I welcome that feedback and am looking forward to knowing how you experience the course. The plan this week, know that your course closes on the 22nd. Faculty have until after Christmas to submit grades, and then I think it's next Friday where your final grades are due to be posted. Anything that's graded is turned in earlier this week before Friday. I'll work on trying to get a few things graded, but after Friday, I'm going to be traveling to see family, so I'm not going to be grading anything until the day after Christmas. So know that the course closes out on Friday night, so make sure all your work is in Friday, and then if you've turned things in early, I may get to graded them early, but if you don't, please don't feel obligated to turn things in early at all. Just wanted you to know what your timeline was looking like. I will be breaking to celebrate Christmas with my family in South Carolina over the weekend and through Monday, so I'm going to go be a mom and a wife and a family member. So know that I will do what I can by Friday before we leave, but after that I'm going to be off the grid for a couple of days to celebrate Christmas. I will have your feedback at the latest to you next Wednesday. If I don't hear from you before then, I hope you have a very, very Merry Christmas. I have enjoyed having you in this course and look forward to seeing you again in another leadership course in the program. Y'all take care.